Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. So first of all, from yesterday's episode, to everybody who called me out for using the lowercase m, which is supposed to be for milli, rather than the uppercase m, which is for mega, my sincere apologies. Honestly, just totally slipped my mind. I got lazy and I just was not thinking. Thank you for the call outs and for keeping me honest. And just so you all know, I did hear all of the feedback about yesterday's video. So once again, as always, keep it coming. I can't promise that I won't make mistakes or step out of bounds every now and then, but I can tell you that over time, I will do my best to become less wrong. Here's some context from Holmars for what you're about to hear. The California Public Employees Retirement System, which is the largest public pension fund in the country, who, by the way, made over a 10x in Tesla stock over the past 6 years, have decided to vote no for Elon's 2018 compensation plan.
The Elon Musk pay package. You have a stake in Tesla. What do you think?
So that is one of the proxy proposals that we will take a serious look at. The team is evaluating it. But as of today, minus the conversation that is yet to happen with Tesla, we would not be voting in favor of that proposal. We do not believe that the compensation is commensurate with the performance of the company.
Did you vote for it in 2018?
I believe we did vote for it in 2018.
Okay,
but this is about long-term value creation.
Hold on. Okay. But do you believe you were duped in 2018?
No. I believe we used the information we had available and made the best choice.
If I told you that you were being paid a certain amount of money in 2018, and then I called you and said, actually, you know what, we're not going to give you that money anymore, what would you do?
It's a great question. I would go to my board. I would talk with my board. If this was truly a commitment that was made to Mr. Musk by his board, then they should follow through on that commitment. But for us,
how can they follow through if
they're non-binding proposals? So they could follow through. They have a choice to follow through on this proposal.
So you believe that the board could still pay Elon Musk?
I believe the board, minus the court issue. So I'm not factoring in the court issue on this. But for us, the reason we do the say on pay is that the company, long-term value creation of that company cannot be a spike in performance, because we've seen spikes in performance at Tesla. This is about long-term value creation. And so if the board is supportive, and again, I'm not factoring in this court issue, most of these proposals are non-binding, and the court or the board could make a decision to go ahead and pay.
First of all, the argument she's trying to make is even if the vote goes no, then the board can still decide to overrule that and actually pay Elon his compensation. She, of course, included the massive disclaimer that she's not counting for what's going on in the Delaware court. That's somewhat equivalent to saying, well, Ford and GM are the biggest EV makers in the United States if Tesla didn't exist. Well, Tesla does exist, so that's a ridiculous hypothetical. You would think the CEO of the largest pension fund in the country would be able to make decisions using all of the available information and provide responses for the same. I'm not a lawyer, but I would definitely question the legality of if Tesla's board were to just pay Elon anyway if this vote were to be a no. Just guessing here, but pretty sure that would not hold up in court given that a yes vote 6 years ago did not hold up in court. So to me, that first argument seems ridiculous and irrelevant. And then she decides to bring up how this is all about long-term value creation, implying that Tesla isn't doing that. For Tesla stock, going back 10 years, which for me is a minimum requirement for talking about long-term, keep in mind this was after a significant Tesla stock run-up, so not including that, and it includes the recent sideways movement for 3 to 4 years. Tesla is still up 1,211% over the past 10 years. Elon is dumbfounded as well, saying what she's saying makes no sense as all the contractual milestones were met. CalPERS is breaking their word. Replying to Holmars, Elon said CalPERS broke the deal. Shame on them. They have no honor. In fairness, Marcy did note they're planning to have a conversation with Tesla, but if the vote was today, that $1.7 billion in Tesla stock that they own would be voting no. Here's how this boils down. Marcy, CalPERS, and the roughly 2 million or so employees in this pension fund make over $1 billion in Tesla stock over the past 6 years. But now Marcy is saying, you know what? Elon does not deserve to get paid for that value creation. And as we just heard, at least in my opinion, her rationale was a joke. Mexican officials are doing what they can to keep the momentum going for suppliers and other companies to continue investing in Nuevo Leon and surrounding areas. As part of that push, they're saying Giga Mexico is still moving forward. Tesla has already started preliminary construction and attracted a few suppliers to Nuevo Leon. The Secretary of Economy confirmed the state maintains a good relationship with Tesla and regularly communicates with the company. Tesla and Nuevo Leon are currently discussing incentives related to Giga Mexico. We have not had any change in signal. We also work hand in hand with them. For example, right now in the incentive contract, the communication is very close. We continue working. The only thing I could not say, and that's not defined, is when Tesla is going to start, but Tesla is coming. Tesla is coming. The incentives they're discussing have to do with highways, bridges around Giga Mexico for connectivity, and the infrastructure for treated water from Giga Mexico. Lastly, they said Tesla's mass layoffs have not affected Tesla Mexico's preliminary construction. The construction so far isn't really factory related. Again, it's mostly infrastructure related. If you're interested in tracking the progress, Adrian CG on YouTube, who I'll link below, is our drone pilot so far for Giga Mexico. Honestly, at this point, I'm not expecting a production vehicle to be sold from Giga Mexico until sometime in 2027. After that comment, I'll provide some quick comic relief. Sawyer shared a post from Joe Biden on Facebook saying the future of EVs will be made in America by union workers. A post like that, you definitely have to check the comments, and I came across this one from NeuralNet Neil saying, "This is what we've got so far, truly inspiring." Well done, Neil. Ed Krasenstein said this post explains the relationship between Elon and Biden. Remove by union workers and Elon would be going to the White House daily for evening tea. To which Elon said Biden cares a lot more about whether Tesla is unionized than whether Tesla is saving the environment. That's really nothing new, but what we have here actually is. Now, warning, this is somewhat political, but remember, I'm just the messenger, and I actually think this could have pretty big implications for the next few years. The Wall Street Journal is saying that Trump and Elon have discussed a possible advisory role for Elon should Trump actually become president. The role has not been fully hammered out and might not happen, but the two men discussed ways to give Elon formal input and influence over policies related to border security and the economy. Elon, along with billionaire Nelson Peltz, has also briefed Trump on a plan they have developed to invest in a data-driven project to prevent voter fraud. Peltz and Elon also told Trump of an influence campaign in elite circles that's already underway, in which Elon and his political allies host gatherings of business leaders across the country to convince them not to support Biden's re-election campaign. In recent months, Trump and Elon have been developing a friendly rapport and talk on the phone several times a month as the election nears. They've talked about immigration, tech and science, and the US Space Force, and others we'll get to momentarily. Trump has told Elon he wants to find a way to get him more involved if he wins in November. As always, Elon is not just interested in writing a check, and Elon said he's motivated by anxieties over the direction of the country. At one of these get-togethers between Elon, Trump, and Peltz, they also had their sons in attendance, making this a family affair. Recent talks between Elon and Trump have also been about Tesla, X, and SpaceX. They've also discussed the EV industry and EV tax credits. Despite Elon's friendlier relationship with Trump as of late, Elon is still non-committal on an endorsement for Trump. They're saying the idea is more about emphasizing what Elon and Peltz see as Biden's shortcomings rather than trumpeting Trump himself. Look, I know it's easier said than done, but putting the politics aside, giving Elon an advisory role would clearly have some positive implications for Tesla and the EV movement. And we all know what Trump is saying right now about electric vehicles publicly, but if we could have Elon in his ear to some degree in the years ahead, at the very least, I think it would be a bit better than the adversarial relationship that Elon and Tesla have with the current administration. Obviously, Trump may not win, and this advisory role may not happen even if he does, but it's definitely something to keep in mind and watch unfold. NHTSA is now seeking records from Tesla for its investigation into Model 3 and Y vehicles over power steering loss reports. It wants these records from Tesla by July 24th about the steering components, The request includes Tesla's process for identifying problems and creating solutions for potential defects. The investigation covers around 334,000 Model 3 and Y cars from 2023 and comes after NHTSA received 115 reports of loss of steering control. The reports include steering or related failures, or steering becoming stuck, locked, or immovable, or requiring high or increased effort. NHTSA said it's aware of over 50 vehicles allegedly towed as a result of the problem. As a reminder, not all NHTSA investigations ultimately result in a recall. There were 22 undocumented changes in Tesla's software update 2024.14. Just wanted to share a few. Tesla Theater gets a new UI update. When adding a new driver profile, Tesla now encourages the user to do it from the mobile app. That way it makes it a cloud-based profile. That way you can sync your profile across different Tesla vehicles, whether it's a loaner or a rental, etc. There's a new icon for the navigation app, which clearly can be pinned to the bottom dock. The pedals and steering menu has seen some changes, and it's now called Dynamics. The media player is a bit larger, allowing for more quick controls. The charging display will now have a bit more information, and the font size of the speedometer has also been increased. Carlos Tavares, the CEO of Stellantis, just said they plan to offer a $25,000 all-electric Jeep vehicle in the US very soon. In the same way we brought the 20,000 euro Citroën EC3, you'll have a $25,000 Jeep very soon. Tavares said he expects the company to achieve cost parity with its full BEVs and traditional combustion vehicles in the next 3 years max. Regarding Chinese competition, he said it's a very challenging period, very chaotic, very Darwinian. We are in the storm, and this storm is going to last a few years. He also said the tariffs like those the US is implementing on Chinese EVs may delay their expansion to the US, but it will not completely stop it. Saying yes, time helps, but you cannot stop the competition. Putting you behind a protectionist bubble is not going to help you be competitive. If your strategy is to shrink and stay inside of the bubble, it'll buy you time, but certainly it will cut your future. No surprise, you won't hear much about this in the media, but over the past few weeks, Stellantis has lost 3 key top executives. Tavares also highlighted how the EV transition is now a game of severe cost cutting, and automotive suppliers have to figure out how to adapt, or they risk going under in the next 5 to 10 years. EVs cost 40 to 50% more to produce than gas-powered cars on average. That means Stellantis is not in a race to transition to EVs, but in a race to cut costs on EVs. The cost-cutting race will be a big burden on parts suppliers. You can already see in Europe significant tier 1 suppliers with very well-known names that are already in trouble for this specific reason. Stellantis will begin relying even more heavily on parts supplied from countries like India, Turkey, Morocco, and Mexico, countries where it's possible to have a 30 to 40% variation on the cost of the same part, the same system, with the same specs, compared to parts made in the US or Europe. Fun fact, in an annual survey of suppliers gauging their working relationships with 6 major North American automakers, the company Stellantis has ranked last for several years. Finally, he said only the companies that are exposed to the harsh competition of the Chinese car makers are going to be the winners, if they're able to survive the Chinese competition. The European Commission has been expected to raise its own tariffs on Chinese EVs, but these provisional tariffs for now are expected to be announced by June 5th. I'm sure we'll touch on this more if and when they become official, but the duties would be imposed from early July, but could apply retroactively for the prior 3 months. For now, this is just a rumor, but we have a South Korean source saying that Genesis is in the final stages of working out a deal to buy electric motors from Lucid. This would be the second deal like this that Lucid has signed, having already signed another deal to supply electric motors to Aston Martin. Genesis also wants to release this X-convertible concept sometime in 2026. Ford has released a new software update for its mobile app, both for combustion vehicles and EVs. EV owners will now have access to one-tap vehicle controls, quicker access to the smartphone key, and enhanced charge management, including a simplified slider for a target charge. F-150 Lightning owners got a climate control feature that allows them to prepare their cabin for access. So yes, relative to Tesla's software, these are still very basic. Farley said there are also several improvements to ICE vehicles, but they mostly have to do with UI appearance, which also applies to EV owners. Alright guys, this is something that I have to do. Just a few moments to counter some of the critics of AG1, the sponsor of this video, those that call it a scam. I'll be the first person to say most vitamins are garbage because they're hard to absorb and they're unregulated, so dosing can be very unreliable when it comes to quality and purity, unless it's third-party tested and that third party is not a sham. As a lot of you know, AG1 is certified by NSF, a reputable, unbiased third party. Go ahead, ask the critics what they think about chelated forms of minerals. I guess most won't have any idea what the question means. Chelated means minerals that have been combined with amino acids because the body absorbs amino acids very well. Translation, minerals that are easier to absorb. It's a stone cold fact, millions of people are nutrient deficient, and my point is that not all supplements are created equal and more is not always better in this world. Quality over quantity is a golden rule of vitamins and minerals. AG1's 75 vitamins, minerals, and probiotics are rigorously tested, studied, and reviewed, and their mission is purity and quality backed by research. And if you'd like to see why people like Lewis Hamilton and his former female trainer Angela Cullen, elite athletes who take AG1 every day, are on board, you can get 5 travel packs and a 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 using my link drinkag1.com/electrified linked below. Enjoy. We got some new information about the upcoming Cadillac Optiq, which is supposed to be the entry-level EV for the Cadillac brand. The 2025 Optiq starts at $54,000 and a GM exec confirmed it will qualify for the full tax credit. It'll have an 85 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and the GM estimate for range is currently 300 miles, but that's not from the EPA. The Optiq's wheelbase is about a half foot shorter than the Lyriq, and the curb weight for the Optiq is 5,192 pounds, roughly 800 pounds heavier than the Model Y. Inside, it has a 33-inch curved display that combines the instrument cluster with the central touchscreen in one solid piece of glass. The Optiq will have Google's built-in Android software, but still no Apple CarPlay and no Android Auto. The Optiq is set to go on sale late this fall and will be available in 2 trims, luxury and sport. In addition to the US, this EV is supposed to be available in Europe as well as 4 other international markets. One of the biggest downsides I'm seeing of this vehicle is it's only capable of 150 kilowatt charging speeds. But as we've said many times on the channel, it's really all about the charging curve and how long the battery pack can sustain those speeds. Another negative, the Optiq will not have a front trunk, which allowed Cadillac to package peripherals up front so they could optimize the rear half of the vehicle. And all Optiqs will have a dual motor setup with all-wheel drive. Let me be very clear here, this news item is in no way a recommendation for me about this fund. I'm just saying that ARK Invest and their venture fund now owns a portion of XAI. Not only that, but this fund owns SpaceX as well, and they've invested in nearly 50 companies, most of which are private. This fund comes with a sizable management fee of 2.75%. There's only about $54 million in this fund, and looking at the top 10 holdings as of the end of April, SpaceX is the largest holding, just shy of 14%. On X, Alex said, by constantly shorting Tesla for years, the fund of Jim Chanos has lost 96% of its value from $6 billion in 2008 down to $200 million in November 2023. Elon replied saying it's not just that he would short Tesla, he would also push false stories about Tesla in the media who performed for him like circus poodles. You may recall late last year, we learned that Jim Chanos had decided to shut down his hedge funds. However, he's not out of the woods, as just yesterday, we learned that he's been accused of embezzling company funds for personal use and enriching his girlfriend in the process. He's not guilty yet, but there is a saying out there, you reap what you sow. Drive Tesla Canada is saying the Tesla Semi will be presented at the Commercial Vehicle Exhibition in Hanover, Germany. This is the first time the truck will be shown in Europe. DTC goes on to say that this move may mean Tesla is ready to gain momentum for mass production, but let's slow down down a bit and not forget that the new Tesla semi factory for mass production is not going to be making semis for customers until early 2026 at the earliest. However, we know that Tesla is slowly increasing production at the prototype facility, we'll call it, at Giga, Nevada currently. More US customers are set to take deliveries of the Tesla Semi later this year, so could a European customer sneak into that group? Even if not this year, maybe sometime in 2025, opening up the Tesla Semi to an entirely new market, where Tesla executives have said they see big potential for the Tesla Semi, and Elon did say at some point he plans to build the Tesla Semi in Berlin. Currently, Tesla is flooding the internet with different documents and letters and proposals and requests to Tesla shareholders for the upcoming votes. I'll include this 28-page PDF below, which is a Tesla presentation to investors, and as you can see, they talk about how different Tesla is as a company from 2018 to now. Quick numbers: in 2018, Tesla's revenues were $11.8 billion. They delivered 103.1 thousand vehicles in 2017 and lost $2.2 billion. Present day, Tesla's revenues are $96.8 billion. They delivered 1.8 million vehicles last year and made $15 billion in profit. Can somebody make sure our friend Marcy sees this chart? I'm not going to go through every page here because a lot of this information isn't new, they're just presenting it in a new package. The good news with all of this though, one thing is for sure, there is no way a judge will be able to argue that shareholders were not fully informed this time around. They also called out Texas is expected to provide more certainty for innovative big-ticket business decisions. Delaware courts are increasingly second-guessing boards and stockholders' reasoned decisions and limiting their freedom to act decisively to create extraordinary shareholder value. They laid out with some pretty bar charts how ambitious that 2018 compensation plan actually was. Example from Tesla's fiscal year 2017 actual adjusted EBITDA to the highest milestone award, that was good for a 22x. Perhaps my favorite chart of them all is this right here. The 2018 award did what it was supposed to do. They showed revenue growth, adjusted EBITDA growth, and stockholder return from 2017 to 2023, showing Tesla leading the way, beating companies like Nvidia, Meta, Amazon, Alphabet, and others. Again, we've been over a lot of that data, but I'll have the full report linked below. Then also, we just got a new multi-page report where Tesla is defending themselves about some of the complaints Glass Lewis just raised over the weekend. Tesla said Glass Lewis omits key considerations, uses faulty logic, and relies on speculation and hypotheticals. What is not hypothetical and is conspicuously absent from the Glass Lewis report is the over $735 billion in value the award incentivized Elon to help create for shareholders. And how about this? They said Glass Lewis is on record as recommending three other recent reincorporations from Delaware to Texas. Example, in 2022, in most respects, the corporate statutes in Delaware and Texas are comparable. The other proxy firm, ISS, said the same in 2022. With that context, this now feels a bit like Tesla is being targeted. How about this? Glass Lewis says rescinding the award and paying Elon nothing is acceptable because it was always possible that the award would result in no payout if performance targets were not achieved. So Elon and the company should have anticipated that he might work for no compensation for 6 years. At this point, I hope everybody out there can see the type of people and the type of thinking that we're dealing with. And as Tesla should, they said the fact is this is absurd, that Tesla and Elon agreed on a compensation plan that was fundamentally based on a risk versus reward framework simply cannot be basis for reneging on the reward after the fact. Elon hit the targets that were anticipated and did create extraordinary growth in stockholder returns, receiving no compensation whatsoever in return for achieving exceptional results for Tesla and its stockholders was never part of the deal. To me, it truly is ridiculous that Tesla has to take the time to make statements to refute statements like this. Glass Lewis said it wasn't sure if the grant date value of the award needed to be as high as it was. Tesla said the fact is this is pure speculation. Glass Lewis may speculate some other compensation arrangement may have been available and may have achieved a similar result, result, but the fact is that the award as designed was the one that the board determined and stockholders agreed was appropriate to accomplish its objectives. Speculation in hindsight about other compensation structures does nothing to help Tesla or its stockholders with the current problem. Glass Lewis does not even mention once in its 71-page report the tremendous value created for Tesla stockholders. Last one, Glass Lewis says other considerations regarding Elon's time commitments to Tesla may continue to warrant consideration in the current moment and highlight weakness in the award at achieving adequate levels of executive focus. Tesla said the fact is that simply ignores the facts. Glass Lewis may believe Elon should have done so with more focus, but the fact is that Tesla's performance speaks for itself. Forget the Tom Brady roast. I think we need a Tesla roast of Glass Lewis and ISS, and for that matter, all of legacy media sometime in the future as the next Netflix special. Honestly, good for Tesla for standing up for itself and fighting back against some of this nonsense that is being shared around by Glass Lewis. I'll leave you guys with an awesome video from Chamath Palihapitiya on Tesla from 2019, but as you'll see, it's very prescient, and Elon thinks so as well. Don't forget, check out AG1 linked below if you're interested. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.
If you're an investor in Tesla, you're 100% comfortable with the way he is a CEO?
Yeah.
None of the actions that he's done over the last year or so give you pause at all?
What do you mean? Meaning the Model 3 is an incredible car. I just bought one. It's incredible. I bought it the way that it was...
Funding secured? I mean, what was that?
Okay, maybe he stepped out of bounds. My point is, you're getting caught up in the window dressing. I'm focusing on the main course. The main course is on the table. The choice for you as a buyer or a seller of that stock is, do you want to eat it? If you get caught up in all of the stuff around the edges, maybe he may mistweet from time to time. My point is, who cares? Your job as a smart investor is to separate the facts and the news from the fiction and the noise. And all of that stuff doesn't matter. It does not change the fact that tens of thousands of consumers are buying that car faster than they can get their hands on it. It doesn't change that the minute you sit inside that car, your definition of what is expected is altered forever. And you wonder why every other car around you that you ever step in, that you may buy, doesn't have the same things that that car offers. So at the end of the day, whether you like his style or not, his substance is irrefutable. If you take a 5-year step back and say, what has he promised in 2014 to what is he doing in 2019, you'd be ecstatic. Similarly, if you take a step back and say from 2019 to 2024, let the man do his job, will we be better or worse off as a planet, as a species, as humanity, as consumers? We will be better off.